Hey everyone, this is Backrow Serenade. This is Tori and I'm Colin.
No, I don't know what to say now. We talked about what you're gonna say. Hey everyone, we're Backrow Serenade. This is Colin and I'm Tori.
And today we're going to be ranking the coaster lines at Six Flags Great America.
We both grew up going to this park. It's our home park, so we have a lot of experience waiting in line for these rides. So
Arguably too much, probably.
So we thought it'd be fun to rank the lines. Everyone ranks the coasters, but nobody talks about the waiting experience.
So we spent a lot of time trying to figure out a good objective way to do this. So what we decided on is we're pretending we're waiting an hour in each of these lines. Only an hour. And to get operations in this, if it's a ride with good ops, you're going to be moving, walking through that line even though it takes an hour. And if it's bad ops, you're just going to be kind of standing there.
We're also taking theming into account.
Yep.
Like the overall environment, like is it shaded? Are you baking in the sun for an hour?
Yeah, I'm really excited for this, so let's get into it.
I think we should say our worst one at the same time on the count of three, because I think we're going to be kind of on the same page there. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Max Force. So the thing about Max Force is that you just don't move. You just stand there in the same spot for so long, and even if the line itself isn't that long, you're just...
The ride's so short that the ops move so slow. It's not even their fault or anything.
Yeah.
And the huge just dirt pit that there's grass on top of, there's just nothing to look at. You kind of feel like you're in the middle of nowhere.
And there's no shade. You're baking in the sun.
It's not pleasant at all.
Yeah. Okay, next...
Number 13.
I have Joker.
Me too.
Ooh!
Well, you don't even go on Joker.
No, I've actually only been on it twice. But that's another one that you don't progress through it too quickly, and I just get really frustrated by like standing still. Also, the whole thing is switchbacks. And switchbacks are also frustrating.
Yeah, I really don't like switchbacks. I mean, the line moves slow for one, and it's just gotten worse over time. And it's just the switchbacks are awful.
But there's some shade coverage.
The shade is nice.
Which is why it's better than Max Force.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, next one. Count of 3. 1, 2, 3. V2.
Superman. No way you put V2 that low.
I did. And this is why. V2, you move fairly well. You'll wait kind of for a minute until, when they're holding you back for the fast lane people. But then once they let you go, you get a good chunk. So you get to move in chunks at a time. But that's another one. You're kind of in the sun a lot. I don't think there's any shade there.
Mm-hmm. It's
all switchbacks. And then even though you're moving, as soon as you get onto the platform, it's a mess.
I just feel like every time I go on Superman, it takes forever. And just that like long meandering path, or I guess it's pretty much a straight shot just to the station. It feels like you're just walking forwards towards the station for forever. And the cardboard cutouts don't really add anything. And you don't really get many good views of the ride. And you also feel like you're out in the middle of nowhere. So not a fan of that one.
But the reason I have Superman higher than V2 is there's usually a grouper on that platform. So you don't run into the issue of everyone runs onto the platform and you don't know who's in line for what row. Mm-hmm. And then you're waiting for like 7, 8 trains. There's also some shade there. Mm-hmm. And I like that there are switchbacks, but you usually don't have to go through too many of them. So progressing through one line.
Yeah. Okay. Number 11 for both of us.
1, 2, 3.
Viper.
Superman.
Okay, we all know how you feel about Superman.
It's just marginally better. Yep, so tell me about Viper.
I can't stand the grouper. Or it's not the grouper, it's the fast lane person. Right when you're about to go into the station. We were there in October, and I kid you not, we were the first ones there, and we waited over 15 minutes just standing there watching 50 fast lane people just go right past us and be like, oh wow, the line's so short. And it's so frustrating when it's like, I could be on the ride by now if you just let me through.
Yeah.
And then also, like, I just like to see the station and see how far I am away from it. And with all the trees there, you can't really get a good glimpse of it. You can't really see the flash pass person. you just can't get a good bearing on much.
And then it also turns. And with the barn, since the station is in the barn, you can't see what's happening.
Station's a nightmare in Viper. I'd rather deal with the V2 station any day.
Yeah, that's true.
You just cannot see the rows.
It is worse, yeah.
8 groups of people in every row. The whole point of the flash pass person is so that doesn't happen, and then it happens. Number 10.
1,
2,
2, 3.
V2.
Whizzer. Okay, so Whizzer, it has more switchbacks than Superman, which we have established that we don't enjoy. But a lot of it, if it's a longer line, you're covered. You're under the station, so you're not baking in the sun, which is nice.
Yeah.
Which that's why I had it higher than Superman.
For me, V2, it's kind of the same deal as Viper, where I just hate being stopped and watching all the fast pass people get to go before you. Just drives me crazy. And then the station is just so frustrating when there's so many people there and you can't see how many rows. It's so frustrating when like people try to cut you because they want to be synchronized with their groups and they can't. Just too cluttered in there to figure it out with all the people.
So then what makes V2 better than Viper for you?
Well, in V2, you can actually kind of see like up to the station, but Viper, you're just kind of there and you can't see how many people are in front of you before the flash pass person, and then the station's so bad over there too. I'd rather deal with V2 station.
That makes sense.
Number
Okay,
9.
next. Number 9. 1, 2, 3.
Whizzer.
Viper.
How do you have it that high? We waited so long. That was so bad.
You know, you talked about the trees.
Mm-hmm.
How your issue with the trees is that you can't see what's happening. I really enjoy that the trees provide shade. And I think that, to me, I think that makes it a better experience. I also like that it's a straight shot and that there's no switchbacks. So I feel like I'm progressing faster, even if I'm not.
I did not think about that, actually.
See?
But my opinion remains the same. For me, it's the same kind of things you said about Whizzer.
Yeah.
There's switchbacks and they're shaded, which is nice, but you're just so crammed in there with people.
Mm-hmm.
And like in that little building, sometimes I'd almost rather be in switchbacks that are outside with a little shade versus like in like more of a building where you're really crammed in with people and it feels much more tight.
Yeah.
Once you get out of the Q building and start walking up to the station, then it's better.
Number 8. 1, 2,
2,
3. Dark Knight. Oh my god, yay!
This is the first time we've met. Oh, wait, no, we matched up 14, 13, and now 8.
Yes.
Okay. I like the AC.
Yeah.
I
For
like
sure.
that there's a lot of different zones. Like, even though the theming, it doesn't really work much anymore, I like that you're kind of in the... I don't like the theater area at all. But the kind of pre-show area, and then you round a corner, and there's like the weird little phone surveillance stuff. And then there's another corner that you feel like you're progressing areas.
Yep.
What I don't like is it's just kind of grimy in there, and the AC doesn't always work the best, and...
And there's really long switchbacks.
Yeah,
That
if you
was-
get stuck in the switchback area, then you're not going to be having a good time.
Not a good time.
No.
No, but the AC break is nice. 7?
You think we'll agree on this one, too?
I'm not sure. I'm actually not sure.
Okay, ready?
You might be shocked.
Yeah?
We'll see.
1, 2, 3.
Goliath.
Why you put Goliath there?
So there's some switchbacks, but usually you don't have to wait in too many of them. If you are in the switchbacks, they're shaded. There's some trees over there. And since it's not super long of a ride, it does move. Especially, you have 2 trains going, the line is moving, even if you are in some of the switchbacks.
Yeah.
Doesn't have any great theming. There's nothing that really puts it high for me, but it's not, it's not one that I really mind being in for a bit.
See, for me with Demon, I had this, one of the top ones, and then I realized I have never waited an hour for this. And it's really nice. I like the theming and that you kind of wrap around the lift hill and the rock structure, and you can see the first drop and the first 2 loops as you're approaching it. And then I remembered that there's those crazy switchbacks that you never have to wait through right by the station. And I have seen it when it's really busy, them use those. And those are like the most compact, like skinny, narrow switchbacks ever. And I would be very miserable if I had to wait through those. So that alone drops it down a few spots, just because I feel like if the line's an hour, they're going to be using those.
Kind of forgot about those, to be honest. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Oops.
Oops.
Number 6. 1, 2, 3.
American
X-Flight.
Eagle.
I feel like you're going to have X-Flight pretty high on yours.
Guess we'll have to see.
So X-Flight, what I like about it is that you do have like some interaction with the ride. So that's interesting. I like that there's not many switchbacks. I think the only switchbacks that it has are like under the station when you go to split between the sides of the train.
Mm-hmm.
So you feel like you're progressing through it. There's a couple little shaded areas, but that's really just to protect you from anything that might be falling off of the riders.
Yeah.
But there is some shade, but that's kind of another one where once you get onto the station, you know, it's only 2 per row since you're divided up by side, so you can wait, you know, longer on that station. Or
Yeah.
you can wait longer on that platform than you do for some of the other rides.
See, for me with Eagle, like, I like that you go far out to the middle of nowhere and that there's a lot of twists and turns and not necessarily switchbacks. But at the same time, it's a lot of walking. It's very far away. Sometimes it can feel almost too isolated, like I said for Max Force or Superman, where you just kind of feel like you're not even in the park anymore. And sometimes I just not too into that.
Yeah.
I forget what the noise is. There's a really loud noise when you're under the station. It's either the brakes or the air gates or the restraint system. There's just loud noises that drive me crazy.
I think
and
it's
hurt
when
my
they
ears.
I think it's when they release the restraints.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is, yeah.
It's gonna be like number 1 for you now, isn't it?
Guess you'll have to see. Number 5.
Yep.
1,
2,
2, 3. American
Goliath.
Eagle.
Yes.
No, so I
Kinda
didn't
tricked
put it
me.
much higher than you. I mean, the things that I like about the Eagle are kind of the same as what I like about the Viper, where it does have some switchbacks, whereas the Viper really doesn't have any. But I like that it's a straight shot line. There's some trees back there, so a lot of it is shaded. The switchbacks, there's like a couple of them before it splits off to red side, blue side, but not many.
You don't normally wait in those.
You don't normally wait in those. And if I had to, because we're assuming that we're waiting for an hour in this scenario, right? If I had to, it's only a couple of them that you have to go through. It's not like V2 where the whole thing is just switchback after switchback after switchback. But so I like that there's not a bunch of switchbacks. There's, you know, you kind of go around a little bit once you split off to red or blue side, but then you just go up the stairs and you're at the station.
Yeah.
That one can be kind of a little messy up there too, because there's never a grouper there. But since the platform is smaller than Viper, it doesn't back up like Viper or V2 do. You're not going to be up there waiting for 8 trains. And even if you are, it's more than likely running 2 trains. But so you're still moving.
For Goliath, you know, like every time I'm in line for it, I feel like the line moves slower than I think it should. But I like that you get the switchbacks out of the way right at the beginning like that. That you get through them, and once you get through them, it's just a straight shot to the station and up the stairs. And I feel like it actually used to be a lot worse when it opened. The single rider line was super frustrating, and it used to be the flash pass merge point down at the bottom of the stairs, so you'd get stuck waiting a long time there for them to let you through. And now they don't really do that anymore, which is nice because you can feel like you're moving more even though you really aren't. And there's a little bit of shade. It's nice. It's a simple one.
Yeah. Number 4.
Yep.
1, 2, 3.
Wrath.
Demon. Okay, so Demon. I forgot about those switchbacks. You know, there's the couple long ones coming up to the station, but
Yeah.
it's really just one. It's just like the down and back.
Yeah, you never really go through those.
You don't really go through those, and if you do, it's just one longer one. But like how you talked about how like you're kind of going around the ride. Like I really love when you can like watch the ride in line. I think that's fun. You know, you get excited to go on it. I also like there's some trees back there. You know, so you have some shade, and then that's not one that's messy at the station either.
I was really torn between 3 and 4, but I settled on Wrath for 4. I've really only waited in the standby queue once, and I remember it moves really fast, which is nice. The line moves quickly, but I just remember being kind of hot and uncomfortable in it. I know there's shade, so I'm not exactly sure why that was, but I just remember it being kind of not super interesting. They got the posters, which are nice, and you can see the ride to an extent. With do have the covering over the shade, and not the best angles. I don't know. At the end of the day, I'd probably need more times waiting in it to give you a good answer to that. 3,
One,
2,
2, 3. Raging
Batman.
Bull.
What is the thing about Raging Bull? She was telling me this earlier. There's something I forgot about Raging Bull.
Actually, we were talking about different rides.
Oh. Oops.
So for Raging Bull, I love that you have some shade at the switchbacks. It's one that you move through really quickly. Even if you're stuck in all the switchbacks, you know, it has such a high capacity that you're moving through the line. The switchbacks have some shade, not much, but there's like kind of like a pergola over it. Once you're out of the switchbacks, you move pretty fast. My issue with it is that once you're out of the switchbacks, like you are really just in the sun. You are in like full sun. You have nothing. There's not any theming there. And it just, I don't know, like it's an interactive one, which is cool.
For me with Batman, see, this is another one I kind of didn't know where to put. I feel like Batman's line moves very quickly for only having 2 trains. It is a short ride. Mm-hmm. I really like the theming. I really like the renovations they've done to it. Even though there's those big switchbacks, and assuming you're waiting in them if you're waiting an hour, the music is nice. There's a little bit of theming. I feel like you move pretty quickly through them. Then there's the storm drain and the stairs. It kind of sets like the mood for the ride. Admittedly, that tunnel's not fun in the summer. That's the biggest point of contention for this one. It's not fun. There's no Wi-Fi, so you can't really do anything on your phone, or at least there was back in the day. There was nothing there. And it can get very, very hot and uncomfortable. But you're only in there for so long, you get through it pretty quickly, so it stays at number 3 for me. Number 2?
1,
2,
2, 3.
X-Flight.
Batman.
Why is Batman number 2 for you?
Batman was the one that I thought that you were going to forget about something, and I thought you were going to forget about the tunnel when you're on the stairs. Because Batman, it moves fast. Even though you have those switchbacks, you do move fast through them. It has really great theming, especially since they redid it. Like, they refurbished the stuff that's there.
Looks great.
That's around the switchbacks. Yeah, the lighting is great. The air conditioning in the tunnel is better. Mm-hmm. But it still does get a little musty in there. You know, everyone's like hot and sweaty and just kind of like, you're just marinating in everyone else's sweat.
For me, I bet you knew I'd put X-Flight super high.
I did.
Well, I feel like X-Flight's a cool line. The switchbacks are mainly just at the start, and even if you're waiting an hour, you're not going to be in those. And then you're just doing a long, meandering path to the station pretty much. And it's cool that you get to walk under the ride and you get really good angles and views of the ride. If that one switchback before you go under the station is open, then it is frustrating. And you finally feel like you're starting to get there, then you have to go back the way you came. It's annoying. Then you go under the station and it's a bit cooler and you get to go on either side, and I feel like the station's not as bad as you were mentioning. I've never really had that much of a problem. It does go slower up there, but in the last 2 years the ops there have been so much better that I don't think it's much of an issue anymore.
I wonder if you're also letting the ride bias your queue experience.
That's not true.
A little bit. You love X-Flight.
That's not true.
You love it.
Well, now I know what your number 1 is.
I know what your number 1 is now.
You ready?
1, 2,
3. Raging
Wrath.
Bull. You haven't even waited in Wrath once. How is that your number 1?
It's true. I have literally never waited in the standby line for Wrath.
How is it number 1?
Which is probably why it's actually my number 1. I think it's great. Of course I think it's great.
Did you ever even walk through it?
Yes. When I was there for... when I was there to film the commercial, we had to walk through it.
They didn't even have the posters up.
They did not.
Or the animatronic working. Well, actually, it's not an animatronic in it.
This is what I know about it, though. I know there's switchbacks, but I know that it moves really quickly. It has the theming, it has the animatronics, it has the posters, it has shade. And it is so great once you do get up onto the platform. They do a really great job with like grouping efficiently. So there's no like waiting for 3-4 trains in your row. You get onto the station, you're placed in your row, and then you're on.
For me, I get it about the Sun and Raging Bull, but you've
Yeah.
got the switchbacks, and I've never really had that much of a problem with switchbacks. During Fright Fest, I know it's colder, but I've waded through the entire line.
I have too, yeah.
And it moves quickly, especially with 3 trains. The switchbacks I've never thought are too bad, especially when they only open up some of them, and you kind of have a little bit of distance between people. The sun thing is annoying, but I've never really had that much of a problem. I like the view. You can see of it going through the helix and going above you. And you're only really there for 5-10 minutes, so I never have much of a problem. But then you're on the stairs and you're kind of shaded again, and the station moves quickly, and it's easy to choose the row you want. So I feel like it's the best one overall. Fastest line, and moves quick. I guess that's the biggest thing about
Yeah.
it.
Well, since it has such a high capacity, that thing
Yeah.
just eats people and moves, people through it all day long.
Well,
I want to compare.
yeah.
So we had, how many did we have? I should have numbered mine like you numbered yours.
I think just 3.
3 that were the same, but kind of in like the same ballpark for a lot of them. The only ones that we were like really different on, X-Flight was like a few away for us.
So I guess we're more alike than I thought.
Apparently we can wait in lines together.
Uh-huh.
As long as the ride doesn't break down.
Well, that's ranking the lines, the coaster lines of Six Flags Great America.
Thanks for watching, guys. Please like, subscribe, share.
Comment if your order for these rides, or if you've got anything interesting to say about these, any different perspectives. Love to know what those are.
Anything we missed,
Yeah.
I would love to hear.
Okay, we'll see you guys in the next video.
Bye. I don't know if we need to say bye. I just felt like it.
It's a very Tory thing to do.